top stories today on Sunday Breakfast, which you've been hearing snippets of throughout the news, is about, well, Davy Falkes. For years, Davy Falkes was one of the most feared men on Tyneside, living off organised crime and in and out of prison. But in 1995, he converted to Christianity and since then has been devoting his life to helping others. Via his charity, The Real Deal Plus, he's now taken over the old Ashington police station, which he and a number of volunteers are busy converting for use as a drop-in centre, a soup kitchen, a food bank, and for helping people with drug and alcohol addictions.
Well, this is a former police station, former magistrates' court, which is quite ironic, really, from my background and that, you know. I'm sure a lot of people find it quite amusing that Davy's got his own police station now. So I'll take you around and show you. This is going to be one of my drop-in rooms as well. People come and get a meal and something to eat. This used to be the old custody area, so you had the charge room, the cell there. Because we do a lot of schoolwork in drug talks and things like that, we could bring some of them in, show them the cells, say this is where you end up. If you go down the gang route, the drug route, this is where you end up. Well, it's a basic cell, isn't it, you know? A little toilet there, you've got the wooden bench here. Little windows, very dark in here. It's a dark, dingy, horrible place, isn't it? But you mess around with crime and gangs, this is where you end up in that, you know. This used to be the courtroom, because he's decorating and things at the moment. This is Debbie there, this is one of our volunteers.
I got involved with the church just over a year ago. I met Davey through my son Shane, because he goes to the church. He's an ex-offender, he's been into prison. He found God when he was in prison. It's changed his life completely. He's such a different character from when he went into prison now. He'll do anything to help anybody. He used to be very violent, but he's so changed, it's just unbelievable. I would never have imagined a year ago that I would be helping a church, helping run Real Deal Plus, helping people in the community, and it's just fantastic. I've never felt so good in my life.
It's all hands on deck at the moment, so we'll look up and then a couple of weeks hanging around. We've just got to get around there. But this is the coffee bar. Yeah, I think it was the police club at one time.
Hi, my name's Deborah Dapper, and I've been a member of the church now for about 7 years. I was healed from ME, God healed me from the ME. I didn't have any confidence or anything. And so once church started to be involved in doing this, I was involved in doing a coffee drop-in. That really helped my feeling of self-worth. It was a privilege to be able to do something to help the community.
I'm Arthur Lodge Johnston, and I'm here because I'm part of the church, but also volunteer. I'm retired now, and what I want to do is put something back into the community. And most of us that are here today working are volunteers. We're just delighted to be able to get the building ready so it can help the community.
Basically, in my life, my background was organised crime, drugs, violence. I ran bars in Newcastle, London. I had a conversion experience, met the Lord in 1995. He took away a 15-year drug addiction, a 20-year alcohol addiction. All the anger and the hatred, the bitterness that was inside of us just went in an instant. I was a real bad lad in that, you know. I was part of the firm who controlled the drug scene in North East England. I'm mixed with some of the very worst of people in that, you know. But all of that, you know, it's prepared us for what I'm doing now because I've been able to help thousands of people in that, you know. I ran drug rehabilitation centres. I work in schools, prisons across the country, across the world, really. Often people can't afford food, the heating, we're trying to help them with that. Sometimes it's clothing, whatever the need is. And there's so much darkness out there. I never thought I'd be doing this. Years ago I was locked up for bank robberies and things, and now I'm doing this work, and it's a real privilege to do this work.
Davy Falkes there. All of this was made possible with the help of a group called Green Pastures, which provides the finance. It's led by Pastor Pete Cunningham, and he's on the line this morning. Good morning, Pete.
Morning, Ingrid.
Good morning. Just tell us a little bit about Green Pastures.
Well, Green Pastures was never meant to be a national charity. We started it off in a local church in Southport 14 years ago. And then 7 years ago, the Times newspaper heard about what we were doing. We were housing about 100 people then. Came and did a 3-page article. And, of course, people read the Times. And people began to phone us up. And then 7 years ago, we bought our first 2 houses for a group in Stoke. It was a man called Roger Howarth. He came and talked to us. And when we finished our conversation and he poured out his heart about the way he was working with ex-offenders, he suddenly said, "Can you buy me 2 houses?" So it was the first time we had someone put their hand in our pocket for £120,000. But the scripture says, if your brother asks you for something and you can help him, don't shut up the bowels of your compassion. So let's live in the book, and that's what we did. Since then, we're now working in 36 towns across the UK.
That is quite something, 36 towns across the UK. So I've got to ask you, why the project in Ashington? What was it about this former police station that caught your eye?
Well, it wasn't anything particularly about the police station. It was about the person and the people. At the end of the day, we believe that we're one body. Therefore, we're here to help one another and strengthen one another, encourage one another, and sometimes fund one another. And so when Davey came along and talked to us, it was like the others that we've joined with. He had a passion to do something. He felt that God was calling him to do that in his area, and he needed someone to help release him into his ministry. So in some ways what GP does, it releases people into ministry that God has called them to in their local area.
So this is exactly what Green Pastures does. It provides the local community and those who need it with food banks, drop-in centres, soup kitchens. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Are you glad with the way it's progressing at the moment?
Oh, Ingrid, you would not believe what has happened to us this year already. I think the most exciting thing is we had a meeting with the Minister of Housing only 10 days ago. And he said to us, he said, you know, what you're doing is quite unique. We would like to help you. We have different things that we could do. So we said, well, what do you want us to do? Make a proposal, he said. So he said, who do you want us to contact amongst all the people in government that will be looking after your department? He said, here's my card, call me.
That's quite something. You are very unique, mind you. You've got unique friends in high places, so it seems. But you're funded by ethical investors. Just explain how that works.
That is one of the most thrilling things, I think, that we do. And that is when we did start and people said, we can't actually go in and get our hands dirty. We've got some money that's in the bank. Can we loan it to you? And we felt it was only righteous that we paid them a good return. So we pay 5%. And we've been paying 5% now for over 6 years. And so at this moment in time, people who actually have some reserves and they have got it in a bank or a building society, they're placing it with us. So this last year, over £3.5 million came in like that.
National Homeless Week. When is that? Just remind us. And also, do you think the homelessness issue is actually becoming a worse problem?
Oh, definitely. We've just completed on Friday some research on Merseyside, where we're hoping to target this year more in general. And we can see that the figures that we've received now, just from the local authorities, that housing is becoming more and more of a problem, and that the number of people that are homeless is rising. So there is no doubt this is going to happen. And while ever there is a shortage of houses being built to help the social market, then that number will increase. I think we are running short by something like 80 to 100,000 homes a year. So you can see that will continue to grow unless there's a real change. But the church can make the change. There is no doubt about it. If there was 1,000 churches like ours in the country today, we wouldn't have any homeless people.
Pastor Pete Cunningham, I believe you there. Let's know how you get on with the conversion, eh? Many thanks for your time this morning. And indeed, if you'd like to get in touch with Pastor Pete Cunningham, or indeed learn more about Green Pastures, they have a webpage. It's www.greenpastures.net.